have so many more interesting things to say. There's no way for me to fit it all in a small 30-minute video. So what I thought I would do is keep the first video for those that you want to share the Kithara with other musicians. That we found the frequency. But we'll have another one where we want to give you some practical applications. Certainly we're not expecting that. You will pick up a Chapman stick, what I call the Psaltery, this instrument, and play. It's going to be hard. It took me years. But we're going to give you some simple ideas to how can you make a new song. You don't actually have to be a musician. We'll show you some harps and some things that if you are interested in getting them, we'll show you some that we might recommend. Or you could get a simple guitar, of course. Whatever the Most High leads you. But we want to just give you not just amazing music or amazing revelations, but we want to give you practical applications to apply to your own life. So we're going to do that in this video. So that you have things to apply. How can we create the new sound? How can we worship Him from our hearts? What are the spiritual principles that we can use to apply to create this sound? Okay, so we're going to go over that in this video. We'd also like to share with you some of the ways we've come across this information. How do we come across this frequency, 432 hertz? Why are we creating this sound in such a time as this in the last days? Why is the enemy afraid of us? Why is he afraid of this sound? So we're going to talk about it in this video. Please be patient. We're going to have a lot of information, so bear with us. Hopefully you've watched part 1 in our series on the Kithara. In it we found the very harps and the instruments spoken of in the Bible, in Revelation, are in fact the Kithara or guitar that we say in English, of our day. We found the frequency. 432 hertz is the frequency we must tune by. We saw the precise notes that relate to the guitar. Now, this is amazing. This is so critical for us because we find this instrument given to those that worship the Lamb. Revelation 14:1, I looked, and lo, the Lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000. And I heard a voice from heaven, a voice of many waters. So we found that the voice of many waters are in fact frequencies. It's a language. The frequencies we can understand as numbers. Okay, so we've interpreted this frequency, this sound of many waters, these waves of this sea. And the voice of great thunder, and I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps, and they sang a new song before the throne. So we've determined that the Kithara in Greek is in fact the modern guitar. Amazing. We also see this in Revelation 15 verse 1. I saw, as it were, a sea of glass mingled with fire. Again, the sea of glass is waves of the sea. And them that have gotten victory over the beast stand on the sea of glass having the harps of God. Amazing. Now, guys, in this, we don't want to just tell you about teaching, tell you about things without having practical application. So, first and foremost, I believe this message is coming before the throne, guys, with all my heart. I believe that however it's going to work, the Most High is going to place guitars in many of your hands and just play, guys. Don't worry about it. Get a simple book, learn, just play. Just worship from your heart, all right? Just get started with that. Now, the other thing, this is why this is so important. Because once they're given the instrument, it says they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God. Now, there are many psalms and many examples of the song of Moses. So what you do is you just sing the Bible. You just sing from your heart the words that you're reading, okay? And they sing the Song of the Lamb. And the Song of the Lamb is in Revelation chapter 5. So when I got started in this many years ago, this is how I got started, okay? I was just a regular Christian, blah, 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 apostate, blind, ignorant. But I'm a musician, okay? And I saw musicians that were worshiping all the time, like 24 hours. And I was like, I started doing that. But I started singing the songs in Revelation. And within it, I started to have all kinds of spiritual experiences and dreams and visions and amazing things, okay? Well, why? Well, we can see right here. They sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, in the song of the Lamb. And this is the words of the song. Great and marvelous are your works, O Lord God Almighty. Just and true are your ways, O King of the saints. Who would not fear you, O Lord, and glorify your name? For you are holy, and the nation shall come and worship before you. For your judgments are made manifest. Now, they are given the harps. They sing the precise song, the precise words, and this happens. With this I look, and behold, the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven is open. That's right. If we can get this sound, if we can get the right frequency, if we can get the right order, then the heaven will be open. There's no question about, guys, there's so many things I've seen supernaturally happen through music, through this sound. Virtually everything you see on this channel are things that I sing. I sing the scriptures. I sing the word. In verse 8, and the temple was filled with the smoke of the glory of God and his power, and no man was able to enter into the temple. So the temple is open when we create this sound, when we get into this order, when we sing properly. Okay? So that is amazing. There's many supernatural things. If you study this, I have been a musician and studying these things for about 20 years. I've seen things like in the Bible where David plays the instrument, and I've had situations where demons have manifested and we cast them out. I've had supernatural things like what David did. And remember what he did. He didn't play to people at first. He was just in the field, just worshiping. Most of what I do is just worship him, not people, okay? And what did he do? He overcame the bear. He overcame the lion. He created instruments. He created this sound. Once that sound was so recognized, he was brought to the king, Saul. And Saul had evil spirits, and the evil spirits were pacified and left him once David played. So there's all kinds of supernatural things that you can apply once you get this sound, okay? Now, like I said, you don't need an instrument, okay? Here's a harp, actually, that if you are interested in an instrument that I might suggest. Now, this is an example of a harp, guys, I would suggest. It's nice because it has the colors. You can see red is the note C, blue is the note F. You'll find these in many harps, but of course I have no affiliation with this website, but there you can see Mandarin, what is it? I'll just put the link for this one. You can see the price there, and it's 10 strings, which is close to the biblical description of the David harp. And this is just the information. This one I think is just really nice. If I were to get a harp, I would probably get this one. So I just wanted to share. In my research for this Kithara, I've stumbled across this word in the inventory of instruments that are listed in Daniel chapter 3. We were explaining to you before how Nebuchadnezzar set up an image of gold, and then he got all the whole kingdom, essentially, to bow before this image. We were showing you how Kanye West was fulfilling this on this Hanukkah. Okay, this word in Hebrew is Hanukkah. However, in researching the various instruments that went into the playing of the sound, I found the Kithara. Now that is amazing, guys. Many of you may not understand, but Daniel is writing in Aramaic at the time of Babylon, of course. But we have Greek words that he uses. This is amazing because the very word in Greek for Kithara, Daniel uses. I found it by researching these instruments. Now, we can see here, if we go to the Strong's Concordance, here you see a cornet. Okay, and really what this is, it's a horn. This is where you get the name Karen. It means a horn. Okay, so the same word in Aramaic and in Hebrew for horn is Karen. So, okay, that's interesting. And then we saw another one. Okay, now this one is a masroki. And you can see it's a flute, musical instrument, or a pipe. Now this word is also very closely associated with the word musician in Greek, or actually muse in Greek is where we get the word musician. Okay? So what is happening is these words are in Hebrew. See, these are Hebrew, actually technically Aramaic letters, right? But what they're doing, they're being translated from the Greek. And here, okay, you can see Kitharos. That's supposed to be a T right here. I don't know why the app isn't doing that. But you can see what it's saying. It's in Aramaic, and it's a Greek origin word, a lyre or a harp. It's a kitharos. It's a kithara. Amazing. Daniel actually writes this word. This is 586 BC. This is the destruction of Jerusalem when the Daniel is taken to Babylonian captivity. You know, it's going to be but this is 2,500 years ago, okay? And he's writing in Greek. And the word he uses is the same word John uses, guys. Do you understand that? That is remarkable. Now, not only that, we have the Kithara. Okay, we can see that there. Now, this is another one. And we can actually look these instruments up, and we can show them to you. We showed you the Kithara already. Now, this is called a sambuca. And you can see sabka. But again, this is a root word corresponding to a Greek word. Time permitting, we'll show you some of these instruments. Now you can see here, this says Psaltery. Now if we look at the Strong's Concordance, again, this is letters in Aramaic, but it's a Greek word. Okay. Psalterion. Okay. See, it's Aramaic, a transliteration of the Greek psalterion. Guys, we know what this instrument is. We know exactly what it is. The reason I call mine a psaltery is it has a triangular shape. Okay? A stringed instrument, triangular. perhaps a lyre or a harp. Actually, we know exactly what this is because of the preservation of these instruments on pottery and other things. We know exactly what this is. But this is remarkable. Now, the New Testament Greek of that we know doesn't ever use this word psalterion. But it does use the kitharos, the harp. And so there we can see this psaltery. Now, the psaltery is also a different word. If you were to actually use Aramaic, in the Hebrew, it's called the nabel. And in fact, the word for harp is also a different word in the Hebrew. It's a kinuar, and we can show you that in other places. But what's going on here is these are Greek words, guys. This is so amazing to me. In all my study, I very, very seldom see Greek words in the Old Testament. You'll see Persian words, you'll see other words. But see this word? Let's look at what it says. Here we go. And this one took me a few days to understand. But you can see they're saying it's an instrument, but it's actually not an instrument. It's an Aramaic word. Okay, these are Aramaic letters. But you see what it says? Symphonia. Symphonia. This is symphony. Okay? It's an Aramaic word. And even the Strong's Concordance, they didn't understand this because you have to look at the Greek. You can see it's of Greek origin. It's not a bagpipe. It's not an instrument, guys. It's a symphony. Now, symphonia, to a Greek person, what symphonia means is agreement. Okay? So something is going on with the music. The music isn't just, oh, okay, that's nice music. It is getting the people into agreement. And that's what this is. Like if you ask someone, okay, do you agree? In Greek, they basically say a word like symphonia. And that's what this is. This is the instruments are the symphony, and the symphony are the people agreeing to bow to the image of the beast. Okay? So that is what's going on with Kanye West. That's what's going on. But at the same time, we're declaring on this channel that there's also a symphonia. There's also an agreement around the Lamb. There's a sound around the Lamb, and there's a sound before the throne. Okay? And so here you can see, as we continue, all kinds of music. Okay, zamar. So now, this is instrumental music, zamar. Now this is an Aramaic word corresponding to Hebrew. Okay, music, musical instruments. So, what do? Look what you can see right here. With all instruments, they fell down to worship the golden image which Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Okay, and whosoever shall fall not down and worship, the same hour was cast into the fiery furnace. And if we go to Revelation chapter 18, we certainly can see the same musicians as part of the great city Babylon being thrown down. The voice of the harpers. And of course, with the harpers, we have the Kitharas, Kitharados. That is two words, meaning Kithara and odes, where we get the word ode or song. The musicians, in Greek, this is musikos. We saw that as well, based on Musa. And that instrument we saw in Daniel chapter 3. As well, in Daniel chapter 3, there were pipers. And these are alouettes, flute players. This is the type of pan flute. So we can see clearly the same instruments. Okay. Salpices, trumpeters. The same instruments and the same type of musicians are at the fall of Great Babylon. The voice of the harpers, the voice, voice in Greek is phone. Let's bring it up. There you can see phone, where we get the word in English phone. The voice of the harpers, the voice of the musicians and the pipers and the trumpets shall no more be heard. Why? Because this is the sound of the music that everyone is bowing to the beast. So let's remember, with the ancients, everything with the music was about the different gods and goddesses. If you study ancient instruments, you will see inevitably all of them are associated with the pantheon of gods, the Zeus and all those things, okay? So Satan has been this anointed cherub himself with the musical instruments for, centuries, deceiving the people to get them to worship him. These are the instruments of Daniel chapter 3. You can see a lyre there on the left and the psaltery with the triangular shape there on the right. A bull-like lyre, the Kithara, there in the middle, and over on the right, the sackbut. So again, these are the actual instruments recreated. And we found in Second Temple period this lyre on a coin in Jerusalem as well. What you are listening to is the oldest written music. This is a cuneiform writing, a cuneiform tablet that was found in Syria, dated back 2000 BC. So we're listening to music that was written down 4,000 years ago to give us an idea of the sound of the written music that David would have played, or we would have known at this time and era. Spending so much time to explain to you language, to explain to you the importance of language in music is twofold. First off, unless you write something down, how do you have a record of it taking place, of it transpiring? So you can see that old music, they were able to decipher how they came up with the certain notes on the lyre, and now we can actually hear the sound of something that's 4,000 years ago old. Why? Because it's written in language. Now, this is very important also, secondly, because we have a record of it. Secondly, we have to understand the mindset of the language. Now, the mindset of both the Hebrew language and both the Greek language makes no distinction between the voice, like I'm speaking to you in a voice, and the voice or a sound. And of course, in English, we make a distinction between the plucking of an instrument and the speaking of a voice. But in both the Hebrew and the Greek, the sound is the same. Quite often, the verb to strike the instrument with your finger or pluck it is the same as voice. Hebrew, it's a qual, voice. So this is the same. It's one. Okay, so of course when you speak in a voice, you are an instrument. This is why we're getting at that you don't have to be a musician. You don't have to hold an instrument. You are an instrument. And so both the Hebrew language and the Greek language communicate this distinction that, in fact, the voice and the instrument are one. Now, there are many examples of this, and for time's sake, I won't get into all of them. But Paul uses this language in relating to spiritual gifts. And if we look at 1 Corinthians chapter 14, he talks about the trumpet. He talks about the Kithara, which we know to be the harp. And basically, it's talking about speaking in tongues. Now, brethren, if I come to you speaking, shall I speak to you by revelation or knowledge or prophesying or doctrine? And even those things without life-giving sound, whether they be a pipe, a harp, except they give the distinction of the sounds, how shall it be known what is piped or what is harped? So what he's saying is how, unless there's an understanding, a distinction, a interpretation of the sound, Okay? When the trumpet is blown for battle, how do you know what it means? It's language. For if the trumpet give a uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself for battle? So likewise, except you utter by the tongue words easily understood, how it shall be known what is spoken. He's talking about speaking in tongues. So if you speak in tongues, if you speak in an unknown language as the Spirit gives you utterance, and there's no interpretation, it's not beneficial to those that are listening to it. For he shall just speak into the air. So there are many voices, and none of them is without signification. All right. So what he's saying is that the instrument must give a distinct sound. So in the Hebrew and the Greek, the word spoken is the same word that is played. And guys, I can promise you, I literally have experience with this. I was playing a harp, and someone that I didn't know very well walked into the room when I was playing it, and they said, "That is beautiful." Well, the actual words of the music I was playing, if you were to sing the song, was beautiful. And that's just, I'm like, that's amazing. I'm literally playing beautiful, and the person recognized it. They heard the distinction in the sound and said that, to them, that sounds beautiful, but it actually is. You can actually talk with instruments. That's what we're getting at, okay? That's why when you have the sound, it's in one accord. So if you have to both play the instruments and sing, so that you are the instrument. In the Greek, in the Hebrew, it's very, very clear that the instrument and the person are one. So the harp player is always singing. The singer is always accompanied by instruments, okay? But remember, you are an instrument. If you're talking, you're creating a frequency, you're creating a vibration, you're creating a sound, okay? And what we want to do is help you to create a new sound, create a song, to purposefully sing in worship. Here is an app called SoundCloud, and you can see on it, the first thing that comes up, you can see various tracks. Now what these are is just short sound clips of approximately 1 minute. And what I suggest you do is download these, run it in a loop, and just sing. So these you can, just play. Okay. You don't need an instrument. I'm just using the instrument to just demonstrate. But you can just have this as like and just sing the scriptures, just sing along with these tracks in the background. I'm a little self-conscious with my voice, so I'm not going to sing. I'm more apt to play the instrument. But we're just demonstrating how we have tools and different things that can help you create this worship, create this sound, without you even being a musician. Okay, so on this SoundCloud, you can see these particular tracks. They're only 1 minute long. Download them or cycle them, and then just sing. Now, if you're interested in some of the other tracks here, you go show more tracks. I'll have links to the website where you can view these as albums and different things. There's also other sounds like I had in the other video, other tracks, which are kind of like ambient sounds, relaxing sounds, peaceful sounds, things like that, as well as like hymns. You can see even this one I had called Psaltery. So this will have a link in the description field for this website called SoundCloud, and then on it I have, you know, all these things. But remember those four, just have those available. Just sing under your heart, sing under the scriptures, and you don't need to even be a musician. Just get a guitar if you can, though. So we've given you the ability to worship Him. Guys, keep in mind everything we do is to worship Him. If we're not doing that, it's pointless. So we are vessels, we are instruments, yes, but it is all about Him. It is all about the Lamb, and the key of David shows us the worship surrounding the throne, the worship of the harps, the worship of the psalteries. You can sing. You're a vessel. I've had the opportunity to play harps and be a musician, but you don't need to be a musician. Worship Him. He will place the instrument in your hands, and love Him with all your heart, soul, and mind. That is worship. That is what we are to do.